All right, we can praise the Stephen onto the. Oh man, that jump started. Oh, all right, we can praise the Stephen onto the Most High Elohim in the name of Yahushua HaMashiach this day. Pick it up at John chapter 5, verse 39. Search the scriptures, for in them you think you have eternal life, and there they which testify me. And you will not come to me that you might have life. I for men, I know you have not the love of Elohim in you. I come in my Abba's name, and you receive me not. Another shall come in his own name, him you will receive. How can you believe which receive honor one from another, and not the honor that comes from Elohim only? And I think that I will accuse you to Abba, there's one that accused you, even Moses, in whom you trust, had to believe. If you believe not his writings, how should you believe my words? Proverbs chapter 26. Little Joe. What you doing, little Joe? You boy. Proverbs 26 and 1. Or as snow in the summer, a bridle for the ass and a rod for the fool's back. Answer not a fool according to his folly, lest you also be like unto him. Answer a fool according to his folly, lest he be wise in his own conceit. Now, I'm going to pick up at verse 5. We actually read in verse 5 with that already. Answer a fool according to his folly. Let's revisit it real quick, like in Matthew chapter 21. Today is a happy day for the world, ain't it? They're happy because the man they didn't like is gone and the pedophile that they like is dead. You know what I'm saying? That's the sad part of life when you got to sit down and make it. Oh, look, Trump is a known confidant of Jeffrey Epstein. Why be young and not? That man run in circles of people we don't run in. No. Boy, living foul out here, man. 21 and 23. Nigga around here talking about we got respectability back. I'm just passing through. None of my concern. Number one, black people. See, now I studied all this here. You know what I'm talking about? That commercial code for a black person to rejoice in any law in the United States, you a special type of student. You know what I'm saying? Only because it's a binding economic contract, the Constitution. Only people that the Constitution applies to are people who are direct descendants of people who signed it. You're not directly descended from the people who signed that document. It doesn't. That's another conversation. How many of y'all familiar with that? You familiar with the Uniform Commercial Code, Michael? Because you're looking at me like you don't know what I'm talking about. Or you don't know what I'm talking about? Or you don't know what I'm talking about? Let me show y'all something, man. Hey, baby. Look at that, baby. Let me tell you what a Florida code is for. You can find it for yourself. I want to say it's in chapter 720, but I'm not. My memory ain't the best sometimes. My phone trick. I want to say it's chapter 72, Florida State statute. My phone ain't cooperating with me. Yeah. 672. The reason why I meant that is thereof. Unless you decided that you were going to take hold of that covenant. Matter of fact, come over here to number 15 and 15 and 2. Because the covenant of Elohim is no different than what the Constitution in theory is. It's a covenant, it's a contract. You don't know the legal constructs of those things, and you'll think, oh, this pertains to everybody. It does not. Numbers 15 and 7, in your generations, as you are, so shall the stranger be before Yahuwah. one law or manner of living. But let's verify that. Make sure. Nah, well, that one there is Mishpat, Yasharal. If you wanted to descend of Yasharal, that covenant didn't apply to you. That's why they said the book that grandma, hush your mouth. Hush it. I take that cup. I'm gonna take that cup. Ephesians 2:11. Wherefore remember that you being in time past Gentile, at that time you were without Mashiach, being aliens from the commonwealth of Yasharal, and strangers from the covenants of promise, having no hope and without Elohim in the. So that's what I'm saying. That's not a foreign concept. What I'm talking about. Just because you live somewhere doesn't mean that the standards and practices and the contracts of that place apply to you. Have to look at it. What were you doing when those documents were drafted? You got to remember, right? Allegedly. I know I done asked y'all this before. How many of y'all know about the Virginia contract? They wouldn't teach all that at school. That's why I said that. They wouldn't teach you. Huh?
I remember maybe Virginia exchange.
No. There's no such Virginia contract.
Well, it was about approximately. I remember maybe.
But what you remember to make sure to see if they're active. No, you talking about the Louisiana Purchase. I remember.
I remember.
That wasn't robbery. They sold it. The French sold Louisiana and a large swath of what is now the Midwest to America. They sold land. You know what I'm saying? The French owned all that land. That's why you got so many states and cities with all these eclectic names and cities in it from all these other Caucasians who had domination and control over those lands at one time, or where the Mexican people were living at, because they just took them people's stuff. And the natives, the more doggone Mongoloids. We talking about them with black folks. Some of them weren't no black folks, them were Mongoloids. The Virginia contract was a contract between America and the British Crown. That America has never ceased or desisted from being under British royal control.
British still owns it.
I mean, Britain still owns a good chunk of the entire known world. They still rule Jamaica. They can say, oh, the Haitians overthrew the French. That's a lie. French still control Haiti. They just left the country. You know what I'm saying? I forget who got control over the Dominicans. The British control pretty much all of Africa. Yeah, they control, man. Britain controlled pretty much 3/4 of the entire world. As late as the 1900s. You know what I'm saying? Not talking about 1773. You talking about 1920. The British is the one who gave them fake Jews the land. Yeah. It was called British Palestine at the time. That was 1948. They the one gave it to them. That's why they fought World War II, so they could get them people that land and say them the chosen people. And have niggas believe that the came to pass. Ain't nothing came to pass, but they thinking you already know. That's the only thing illegal. They do.
The whole world believes that.
Why people send them so much money?
They send them so much money because the people exploit them. They got people believing 10 to 20 with more votes counted in a particular state than it's actually people who registered to vote in the state. This whole thing been tampered with. Niggas got to be dumb. This is how hypocritical people is. Then I told you this the other day. This is what they doing. They have did what happened in the year 2000 all over again in the opposite. Y'all do remember what happened in the year 2000, right? Or were you too young to acknowledge? That was George Bush and Al Gore. What happened with George Bush and Al Gore's election? No, that wasn't the point. It was disputed. And they said that there was miscounting. And we was the state that they said was the last one had to be counted for him to win. Say the country was divided. And what did George Bush do when he became president? 9/11 happened. They took your rights, and the economy went down the drain. And they're gonna do the same thing again with a different face. People insult your intelligence, man. All you gotta do is pay attention. One thing about Satan, he ain't got too many plays in the playbook. Seen several elections, boy. I ain't never seen them probably take 3 days to do it. I ain't never seen them people take 4 days, and you wonder why they came with the pandemic. But they knew what they were gonna do. They were gonna play with it, send votes in the mail, and ain't nobody sitting there thinking like that could be tampered with. Everything up on the board and board. What are you flesh and blood people with agendas?
They gotta be handwritten.
They talking about people signing, people signing it with Sharpies. Come on, man.
They gotta be this pencil, that pencil.
You can't be that simple.
And
And look at what, but you got to look at the narrative of what they're trying to push. The country is divided. 1,000. Yeah, they usually do it within the 10. Many people usually know who win the same day. It'll be waiting on the West Coast people. So now, and guess what niggas got you thinking? Well, it's gonna be riots. They gonna start killing the white people mad. Man, the white people ain't mad at you. They ain't thinking about no niggas. They ready to go to war with the government. They don't want to go to war with you. They thinking these, not because it's a pedophile and a bulldog, slow man, but because that's what they want. I'm gonna tell you to cut through the violet. Don't be buying that junk. You can't trust a nigga who been up in the prison, boy. I'm not trusting that nigga who done, and I was a regular person. I'm not voting for that whole lot of niggas up. They might have been wrong. Good conscience will not allow me to support you. You lock niggas up, bro. That's like Angela Corey. Y'all know who Angela Corey is? Angela Corey was getting, well, look at what, you could have got locked up, first charge ever in life. You may not get 10, but you finna get 6. Now, you ain't never been to jail before. You don't know what to do. And you're clenching your booty cheeks looking for a knife. 3. Yeah, I don't trust people who want to lock people up. Like, ardently want to lock people up. I can't trust that. Hey, don't get me wrong now. You do something out of pocket, you got to take what comes along with that. You know that done bad. Hillary Clinton known for calling you little black boys super predators. And who was the biggest person wanting to support this hoe? Your mama and them. All that tell you is how your mama and them feel about you. She feel like you a super predator too. Well, you didn't support Hillary Clinton, did you? Oh, you did? Oh, so you hate black men then? Ain't say nothing. I say if you ever voted in your life, you would have voted for Hillary Clinton. You need to find a dope.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, that's what mama. Blame it on your mom. So you just went and voted. Ain't know why you would vote. I literally got on television at one time and called little black boys super predators. And the biggest, and I show you that in a natural sense, that women will always ride with women over their own men. Because as a woman who pushes out black boys, there could have been no way that you could have supported someone who called your son a predator and then be the first one out in the street talking about Black Lives Matter. Why you shooting my son? Well, that's what you asked for, huh? That's what you asked for. That woman said that years ago. And Joe Biden for 7 grams of crack cocaine. And you need a key of powder cocaine to get that same amount of time. Why is that important? because it's more likely that you'll catch a young black boy on the street with a quarter ounce of hard than you will with a key of salt. But you get the same amount of time. Like you go through St. Augustine, you'll see the sign where it say weed and seed. You know what I'm saying? You get caught with work roundup and you get 10 years minimum mandatory in the feds. You know what I'm saying? Free for guns and then the train stop on the tracks in the hood. Now you gotta pay attention to what's going on, but let me move on. Matthew 21 and 23. The same day came to him Sadducees who say there is no resurrection and asked him. Oh, I don't need that. Hey, he was coming to the temple, the chief priests and the elders of the people came unto him as he was teaching and said, by what authority do those things and who give you this authority? Now again, it's where we're coming back. He's answering them according to their folly, lest they be wise and they conceit. Let me get this word for conceit. Hey, boy, we finna flush you down the toilet. Right down the toilet.
In your mouth.
Out here, when you got conceit, it's Ayin. Look how he answers. And Yahushua answered unto them, I will ask you one thing. If you which if you tell me, and likewise will I tell you by what authority I do these things. He answered them exactly according to the folly that they asked him. So you know how some people be like, you can't answer a question with a question. Sometimes you can if a nigga coming with some folly. Sometimes you can. Sometimes it's needful to answer a question with a question. Because some people know what was it, from heaven or of men. And they reason with themselves, saying, if we shall say from heaven, he will say unto us, why then did you not believe him? From heaven, why you don't believe it? Now go back to what I tell you last night with a lot of proofs. If somebody come and they preaching the gospel and you believe that word coming from heaven, why you don't believe it? And of course, you've been drinking coffee, bird. John 3 and 30. How long drinking coffee, bird? Outside. Oh, since yesterday. 2 weeks ago. You like it? Sit down, Audrey. There is no spot. Sit someone else. And speak of the earth. Either heaven is above all. And what he has seen and heard, he testify, and no man received his testimony. For Elohim give not the Ruach by measure unto him. I wonder if that's loud. For the Father loved the Son and hath given all things into his hand. He that believe on the Son have everlasting life. He that believe not on the Son shall not see life, but the wrath of Elohim about truth. So if somebody's come preaching the gospel of Elohim, the gospel of Mashiach in the mystery, and you receive it not, then you just basically told this man that he was a liar. Yeah, 2 Peter chapter 2. We can pick it up at verse 1 on general principle. What y'all in there doing? Oh, that boy was up. Among you who privilege bring in damnable heresies, even denying the Lord that brought them, and bring upon themselves swift destruction. Let me ask y'all this question here. Can you think of a false prophet in the text who brought a damnable heresy? Y'all know what a damnable heresy is? Heretical teachings are incorrect teachings. So if anybody can think of a situation where a false prophet, a teacher, whatever the case may be, brought a damnable heresy. Hananiah is the man who he referred to. Does anybody know what false prophecy Hananiah gave?
About 70 years, right?
That's correct. He told them that they would be in Babylon because that was a damnable heresy. And he brought swift destruction on himself. We read it last night. He said, "Cursed be you above all cattle. Cursed be you to go." Because guess what? When he spit that false prophet, Jeremiah said, "Amen," and walked off. Yahuwah told him, "Go back and go tell that nigga he lying," and got these people to trust in a lie. See, that's what our people don't even realize. Sometimes what he was speaking prophecies, or anytime you hear somebody say Mashiach just mean anointed one, that's an unbelieving bastard. Stop death then. If you can stop death in yourself, then you can stop it in me. If you can't stop it in yourself, I wouldn't dare. You got grown niggas naming their son Messiah. Nigga ought to slap the fire. Them nigga ain't nothing anointed about that boy. Ain't nothing anointed about that boy. I don't care if you name him Yahusha. That's family name. You want me to disregard a family? How am I gonna name my son a title? First thing they screaming, the Mashiachs was the priests and the prophets and the kings. Well, guess what? Ain't none of you niggas a priest, prophet, or a king. I could give you some of you being a prophet, but prophets weren't even anointed. So that's how you know niggas don't know the text. How many prophets you ever read got anointed with oil? Huh? How many prophets you know? Every niggas don't know what they talking about because they do propheting. Not now. Not now. Y'all know how a prophet is determined.
They say true.
From the tribe of Yehuda, and ain't no throne for you to sit on. You ain't never had a king in captivity. So you canceled there. I'm gonna say you a priest. You canceled there. Ain't no priest of the Melchizedek. Ain't none of you niggas know Mashiach niggas. Who anointed you? You anointed yourself. You lying. You lying. See, that what your man used to be on. How sure? I'm the anointed noble, most noble partner. This nigga's amazing. You can't trust a nigga talking in third person. Saying every nigga, but boy, you got to get anointed. Nigga talking in third person. Hey, what wrong with you, bro? That ain't normal. Niggas, you the rock, you Deion Sanders. Careful. Deion Sanders was the inspiration. Wilderness. Come over here. That's it. But even if it come to pass, it still got to be in line with what the word. 13-3. Well, 13-1 actually. If there arise among you a prophet or a dreamer of dreams that give you a sign or wonder, and the sign known and let us serve them, you shall not hearken unto the words of that prophet or that dreamer of dreams. Yahuwah your Elohim proved you to know whether you love Yahuwah your Elohim with all your heart and with all your soul. You shall walk after Yahuwah your Elohim and fear him and keep his instructions and obey his voice. You shall serve him and cleave unto him. And that prophet or that dreamer of dreams shall be put to death because he has spoken to turn you away from Yahuwah your Elohim, which brought you out of the land of Mizraim and redeemed you out of the house of bondage to thrust you out of the way which Yahuwah your Elohim commanded you to walk in. You shall put the evil. Oh, you still got to serve Yahuwah. See, I keep telling you, man, at the end of the day, niggas don't believe in Mashiach, and that's what the problem is. And that's what the problem is. And when I say that, we're just basically saying that people don't believe in Elohim. Come back to 2 Peter chapter 2, because I'm on verse 2. Many shall follow their pernicious ways, by reason of whom the way of truth shall be evil spoken of. Now you can see that in regards in the Gospels of how the scribes and Pharisees spoke Yahusha. Now, I don't know if y'all know what they're destructive, perishing, ruin. A destruction which consists of eternal misery, burning it. Literally what it says, eternal misery in hell. So that's what ends up happening. You end up people who following death. That's why he say you of your father the devil, and the lust of your father you will do. And that if you don't come to him, you shall die in your sins. Now see this, Brew want to talk about a lot of stuff, right? They feeling like this election happened, all this stuff gonna go down, we coming to the end, and you worrying about the wrong thing. You know how we know we ain't came to no end yet? Outside of people that you may know who deal with the word, absolutely not. You're the hearts and minds of anybody. Just a bunch of rich white folks doing politician stuff. Don't you know the text say that those people in rule and authority is going to give their rule and authority over to that person? This one we go into, we not paying the text, and niggas watch, and it's not playing out like no movie. The man has told you explicitly what is going to happen. That man tell you when the end comes, they will persecute you for who? His name's sake. Ain't nobody out here fooling with nobody because they profess to believe in Yahushua. That has not happened after these people elected. All niggas is doing is memes about Donald Trump. Them people ain't finna do nothing to me. How you, sir, who are you worried about what them people gonna do? Shoot you with a shotgun? You think that really gonna happen? What type of God you think you serve that would allow some random evil person to do some harm to you? That don't bring no esteem to his name. You just walking down the street. I hate niggers. If we look at that's if we believe, do we not? Don't the man say he protect those that belong to him? Oh man. That's not saying that you won't be on. But them center problems. You think if there's a protest go down and a bunch of white folks go swing on some Black Lives Matter, what they got to do with me? We're supposed to be united as a people. Sound harsh, but that's the harshness that if we serve Elohim. And you know why we can say that? What did this man say in John chapter 17 to his apostles? We said a lot of things, but along the lines of what I'm talking about, what did he say that would fit what I'm talking about? If I ain't concerned what will happen to a bunch of sinners, and you could get that, but that ain't the one.
I don't know what it says.
That man said, I pray for you. What that means, the Lord don't care. Let's look at it just in case you didn't know. And y'all sit down and eat them chips and be content. I'm gonna get them chips, cuz. John, hey Abby. Abby. Them chips. The word. Now have they known that all things whatsoever you given me are of you? For I have given unto them the words which you gave me for the world, but for them which you have given me, for they are thine. And all mine are thine, and thine are mine, and I'm esteemed in them. That means I don't pray for them people. If you don't belong to Allah, he's not concerned. Now that's a hard pill to swallow when you deal with most brews because they thinking that we all black, he care. He only care about those that are his. See, that's no different with a man in his household. Yeah, he might have concern with other people outside of his household, but his number one concern is mine. You know what I'm talking about? And that's how I'm just being honest. You think angels was weeping in heaven when Breonna Taylor got killed? They weren't. And that's we don't want to hear that. And you know why we don't want to hear that? But we don't want to deal with that curse. That's our segue. Back to Genesis chapter 6. Back to Genesis chapter 6. Oh, I'm sorry, I ain't finished 2 Peter chapter 2. I'm sorry. 2 Peter chapter 2, verse 3. We got Genesis 6 ready now. Y'all recall, remember we read in Psalms 104? Remember what he told you? What he said? What happened to all the sinners in the earth? They'd be consuming, he would get them out. Matter of fact, let me read you something in Proverbs chapter 2 real fast. You ain't got to go around the corner. I didn't want you to hear what he got to say. Might be chapter 1. Proverbs 1, of course, in the opening of the gates in the city she uttered words, saying, how long, you simple ones, will you love simplicity? Going through Proverbs. First thing I want you to look at, simple ones, the word is pathe. It's simple, it's foolish, and open-minded. How many times you've been told in life you need to be open-minded? You know what happens when you be open-minded. You subject to anything because you want to hear any and everything out. Got to keep an open mind. Keep your open mind, all right. That's why people come. I'm going to tell you something, boy. You know somebody hate you when they hit you with this line right here. See, I'm not religious. I'm spiritual. You know what that is for me? That's AKA, because you hear it from a lot of women, that's AKA, I'm a host. You know what I'm saying? And I need to feel better about being a host. When you hear that from a man, AKA, I'm an idiot. You know what I'm talking about? I like to keep keep it wild and loose and free, Like, that's a nigga who was raised by his mama. You hear a grown man talking about rules is oppressive. Nigga, you sound like a hoe. I'm oppressed. You know what oppression is? A nigga walk up and punch you dead and then come back and do it to you again the next time you got some money. What you say? Shoot, oppression is wrong. Oh, that's oppression. He and I somebody who's experienced wisdom or judgment. So when you simple-minded, and guess why you lack experience? Because you ain't using the word. That's why you lack it, because you're not using the word. Ain't that what we were doing? So guess what? When you lack experience and you're naive, that's how you end up being open-minded, because you'll listen to anyone and anything. And of course, you're going to delight in mocking, and you're going to despise knowledge. Verse 23, turn you at my reproof. Behold, I will pour my ruach on until you actually get reproof in the gospel to see that you need a redeemer and you need your sins to be remitted. And then that's why he poured ruach on you. See, that's an example of immersion right there. Let's continue. He said, because I have called and you refused. I have stretched out my hand and no man regarded. But you have set at naught all my counsel and with none of my reproof. Now, we were talking about counseling last night. It's counsel, it's advice, it's purpose. You got ayin, sod, and hay. Ayin, sod, and hay. Have you seen the way of Yahushua? Have you beholden? Because that would be last night in the regards of the parallel what we were talking about. Like when we do that, we have to do the same thing. Because the only reason why, because we know he's not going to directly communicate back with you unless you got that type of thing going on with it. It ain't too many people in the earth got that going on with it. You know what I'm saying? Where he going to actually send a Malachi or holler at you directly on the spot. You don't even see too many times in the text when somebody was praying and he hollered at him on the spot. You know what I'm saying? 9 times out of 10, when you read the text, what do you see? Even when the son prayed, many a time he hollered at him right on the spot, but he knew he didn't have to holler at him on the spot. But what he asked for. Listen what he said, right? I will also laugh at your calamity, anguish come upon you. Then they shall call upon me, but I will not answer. They shall seek me early, but they shall not find me. For they hated knowledge and did not choose the fear of Yahuwah. They would not, and the prosperity of fools shall destroy them. Now let's look at that, the turning away of the simple. Turning away, you remember that word meshuva? Apostasy, backsliding. The backsliding of the simple-minded or the open-minded or the naive or inexperienced shall slay them. Don't you realize that? You know what that take you to, right? That take you to what's in Matthew 13, what is sown in their hearts and the enemy will snatch away what was already there. See, this is the point where I'm trying to mention this here. Many of us have known people who walked in his word. What is, they just fulfilled what they were born to do. They just fulfilled what they were born to do. They were born to be damned. Why do you have confidence and trust in him? That's the same token that you're looking at your man. You have to look at why do you have confidence or trust in him? And if it's not there, then you should be able to plainly do the reverse if it was not so. Because when you talk to the average person in the world, they say they don't trust in God. They don't have a real tangible reason, practical reason why they don't. It'll usually be just feelings. You know what I'm talking about? I'm talking about the four who they don't. They just outright don't believe him. Like him who fall down dead to the wayside, you think he can? You think Malachim in heaven, oh, why they did that brother like that? Shoot, he wanted probably sent that angel down to kill him. You thought it was the police. You thought it was the nigga around the corner. That Malachim was standing right there with that sword, ready to swing. A couple people you might have known died in a car accident. That Malachim bust that tire, what I call it, going down the road. Get this nigga out of here. I'm tired of him. Because at the end of the day, you don't know how fed up Yahuwah be with people. Because you know why? Because we looking at it through human eyes. That's a good man. Yahuwah like, yeah, you don't know what that nigga do when you ain't with him. Then you look at somebody like Joe Biden, well, why he still alive? He played with little kids, booty hole. Donald Trump talking about grabbing women's vagina. You know why people got mad because Donald Trump say grabbing body, she ain't say nothing? Because he Donald Trump. She thinking about, shoot, I'm going to let him grab it because I might work my way into a couple bags, a couple trips, and a couple dollars. Shoot, Donald Trump ain't buying no burger bag. Donald Trump can say, who? Burger eat nuts. That's how he feel. Everybody mad. Why he got this woman? He's 77 years old. He got this young woman. Because he can. He got money. You wish you could get you a young woman. But instead, you got to get Auntie Carl around the corner. You don't want her. You want that young, but you can't get her. Your money. You think Donald Trump doing something to that woman? That nigga old. Come on back to 2 Peter chapter 2. He ain't doing nothing to that woman body. Them days been gone. You can look at him and tell. That toothpaste give it away. He might be the Seattle champ. That nigga built like a retired linebacker. Second Peter chapter 2. You can tell how the woman. She just deaf. She finna go through hysteria. She happy when she go to the OBGYN clinic. Ooh. Time linger not, and their damnation slumber not. So these same people who gonna speak out and shop, these same money. See, that take you back to the money change in the temple and the Matthew 15 when they sitting around here talking about, hey man, just bring gold to the altar, man, and you can disrespect your parents. Listen what he say, right? For Elohim spared not the Malachim that sinned, but cast them down to hell and delivered them in the chains of darkness to be reserved under judgment, and spared not. I'll just get the rest of it. And turning the cities of Sodom and Gomorrah into ashes, condemned them with an overthrow. No, I ain't shoot. It said they ain't got nothing to do with it. He said he destroyed the world because we talked about it Wednesday. He destroyed the world because they corrupted the way of Yahuwah on earth. That's a separate conversation. Because we already know that Isaiah 24. Y'all remember Isaiah 24, don't you? Come over here to Isaiah 24 and 23. This job is horrible, man. I just laugh. Isaiah 24 will make it 21. It shall come to pass in that thing that's a king. I ain't no king. I'll grab all of them while we talking about it. And it shall come to pass in that day that Yahuwah shall punish the host of the high ones that are on high, and the kings of the earth upon the earth. Now, this is something to revisit for those of you that don't know. Now, the host, you know what a host is? That's an army. Now, when they tell you the host of high ones, there is no that are. It just say, we'll say the host of the high ones on high. So what does that take us back to? Daniel chapter 12. Because when it comes down to the angels being kicked out of trouble, such as never since was a people and a nation, even to that time. See, that ain't what I want. Oh, I think it's Daniel 10. Yeah, it's Daniel 10. Daniel 10. Where am I? Yeah, he gonna because he mentioned that hype, but I say in the Old Testament, there's not a lot of information in that regard, where it's spoke at. And when I heard the voice of his words, then was I in a deep sleep on my face, and my face towards the ground. And behold, a hand touched me, which set me upon my knees and upon the palm of my hands. And he said unto me, O Daniel, man greatly beloved, understand the words that I tell you. Stand up, right, for I am unto you am now sent. And when he had spoken this word unto me, I stood trembling. Then he said unto me, fear not, Daniel, for the first day that you did set your heart. I'm talking about. Look what he said, chasten. You remember what chasten is, right? That's to discipline himself. He chastened himself by fasting. And it says his words were heard the minute that he did it, that he sought to understand. See, that ties into your trust level and confidence in Elohim. Because he, see, the ability to be loved and Shamahim Elohim surpasses your ability to keep instructions. It's according to the level of faith you possess. Those whose faith are stronger are those are the ones that he loves the most, because those are the ones who are going to obey him anyway. You know what I'm saying? That's just natural, because you can see that on the spiritual side, which you serve Elohim. The people who have the most confidence in him have no problem obeying him. You can read that in the text. Nobody who has supreme faith in Elohim ever had a problem obeying. That wasn't even the issue, wasn't even a thought. That's why I be telling y'all, period, that keeping the commandments is the least thing to do. That's not even a pressing matter. Because if your faith is high, you're gonna do it. It doesn't make any sense. How do you have confidence in somebody that you don't trust the advice and the purpose that they're giving you to go in? Because his instructions are your counsel. Look to his neighbor. Give me a second. Why you will see that any difficult situation that you were involved in, so it was we were rebelling against the word. Anything that difficult that has ever occurred in our life is because of our lack of obedience, and that lack of obedience was tied into a lack of confidence. Now, that lack of confidence could be from a multitude of reasons. It could have been insufficient information. You know what I'm talking about? It could have been just outright rebellion. It could have been just straight ignorance. You know what I'm talking about? Like, that's not a singular thing going to build the obedience. Or just how he just said, a perfect faith is going to bring about a perfect work. That's how that comes. The more complete your faith is, the more complete your work is going to be. So if you've been in the word and you felt like your work was not perfect while you were doing it, it's because your faith was not perfect. Therefore, there's no way on yourself about the imperfect work, because that is done. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, that's done. That's got to be water under the bridge. You have to look at the situation and circumstance, see what you did incorrectly, learn from that, correct that mistake, don't make it again. You know what I'm saying? Because fear have torment. So when we tormented in the mind, it's because our love is not perfect. And that means our faith is not perfect. Because what is fear? See, let me see the Greek word they got for fear. Hey, Kari. The Greek word for fear is phobos. It's when you look at dread, dread is a great apprehension or fear. Or fearful of something bad or unpleasant is going to happen. So the weaker the faith, the stronger the apprehension. That's why your love has to be perfected. And the love is perfected through confidence. But the confidence has come through is, do you believe the words and the character of the person? Well, verse 13. But the prince of the kingdom of Persia withstood me 21 days. Below, Michael, one of the chief priests, came to help me, and I remained there with the kings of Persia. Now, let me ask you a question, Michael. The king of Persia had power to stop an angel. He just came. Eric, do you think the prince of Persia got power? Yes. Has he fled? Leave. Y'all can answer that. Who's the prince of Persia? She taking too long. Monte, roll your eyes again, nigga. Wow. Monte, who's the prince of Persia? Well, prince, it's all the same. The prince of Persia. Hold on, let me see what you got to say. Huh? He just said it. That's the devil. Look who he said would stop it. Look who freed him from the situation. Said Michael did. I'm gonna read it again. But the prince of the king of Persia withstood me 21 days. Below, one of the chief princes came to help me, and I remained there with the kings of Persia. What did he say? What did he call Michael? Called him one of the what? Chief princes, chief rulers. Did they just call him the great prince over there in Daniel 12? Y'all didn't catch that? Now, why does they call him the prince of Persia? Well, come over here to roll with me to 2 Corinthians chapter 4, right? Don't you know there's something? Hold on. Let me get you 2 Corinthians 12 to go with it, because same thing happened to Paul.
Remembering the calling.
Second Corinthians, thank him, Lord. Big boy. That junk be lagging so long, be disconnected so long, that junk can have 30 minutes of dead time.
I rewatched it last night. Morning. It wasn't that bad.
Nah, because what it does is it takes that out. When I hit end and then upload all that dead time where it wasn't connected, it takes it out. 2 Corinthians chapter 12 and verse 1. It is not expedient for me, doubtless, to esteem. I will come to visions and revelations of the Lord. I knew a man in Mashiach above 14 years caught up to the third heaven. And I knew such a man, whether in the body or out of the body, I cannot tell. I in my infirmities. For though I would desire to esteem, I shall not be a fool. For I will say the truth, but now I forbear. But now I forbear, lest any man should think of me above which upon should time to buffet me, lest I should be exalted above measure. Now, what you see what happened was there to resist, because Paul, matter of fact, I'm trying to think of where it's at. It's just in my brain. Anyway, was that? It's in one of the doggone something in the law, man. It's escaping my mind. Oh, that's what it was. Zechariah chapter. Ready to learn. I just want to thank Malakim of Yahuwah and Hashatan standing at his right hand to what? To resist him. And Yahuwah said unto Hashatan, Yahuwah what? Rebuke you, O Hashatan, even Yahuwah that have chosen Jerusalem rebuke you. It's not just a brand plucked out of the fire, but I just wanted that's what it means to resist anything that brings to pass the will of Elohim. Now, why do I mention that? Because a lot of times, a lot of people. Okay, the devil. What is the definition of the word devil? Y'all remember what the definition of the word devil is? No. That's Satan. No, not wicked one.
Devil. I ain't know.
The devil.
Y'all look it up. You ain't sure?
I always look at Africa.
No, you gotta look at it in Greek.
That's all.
Slanderer. And guess what else he is? A whisperer. Is a slanderer and a whisperer. It means slanderer and whisperer and accuser. That's what you see him being in Job. He was the devil in Job. They called him by his title in Job, but he was the devil. But he was accusing and he was slandering. And why is that important? When you run across people and they always slandering you and accusing you, they be an adversary. But the reason why I mention it is because of the whisper. Because Satan whispers doubt in the hearts of men. You know what I'm saying? And the reason why he does that is because he wants you to stay mired in whatever you were mired in. So you will not become a new creature. Because as long as he can keep you in the thought process that you were in, then you can never get the mind of Mashiach in your approach. When you always get thoughts that you not heard it, or you did this, or you did that at this particular time, sometimes it could be your own conscience, but a lot of times it'd be the devil whispering in your heart. See, some people have mistaken the voice of the devil for the voice of Elohim to their own destruction. A lot of the doubts and all that stuff that come in our head, that become that's not an Elohim. Yahuwah don't do that. I'm just letting you know, and I know I ain't probably said it in a while. Yahuwah don't do that. Yahuwah does not accuse. Yahuwah judges. You stand before him, he gonna determine if you're guilty of that or not. But he's not going to accuse you. Remember what Yahushua told you? You got one that accused you, even who? Moses, of whom you trust. Who do you think he would talk about? That's the devil that's accusing you. Elohim don't sit in heaven accusing nobody. He doesn't do that. That's not how he rolls. Why? Because what is Elohim going to do? No, he going to rebuke you. See, that's the difference. The devil is going to accuse, Yahuwah is going to correct. Because which one is love? Accusation or correction? Somebody's son. If he stepped at him, he was stepping in them to correct them for something that they had done. And then once he corrects you, does he keep talking to you about how he corrected you about it? How many times did he talk to David about what he corrected him on with sleeping with Bathsheba and killing Uriah the Hittite? That's it. Ain't got to keep mentioning. How many times did he mention how he corrected you? Yahuwah don't do that. Once he corrects you on the matter, then that's a problem. But he does not do that. See, the adversary will want you to replay it over and over and over and over and over and over again. That's how he rolls. The reason why we replay mistakes and errors and faults and falls. Thick cloud. You ever seen a thick black cloud before? Can you see anything through that cloud? What he told you, right? He said if you repent, those sins will be what? No longer mentioned. I'm just mentioning that because prostitution is the oldest profession. And whether you realize it or not, a lot of women participate in it. You think he gonna mention that? And you know what he told her to do? Go sin no more. You think he talking about, oh, you remember that time I caught you? You think he finna do that? Then come back and mention it back to me? You know what I'm talking about? You can't do that. We're talking about what? Shoot, right? What is shoot? That's the term. So that means, again, remember now, that means you have turned. Drinking all that alcohol, Rub it on them women. You think he gonna mention that to you? And you don't do that? What are you mentioning that to you for? Now guess what? If you was still sipping a little liquor here and there, rub it on some straight booty. You ain't got it. I ain't spinning records, but shoot. But you still drink out. That booty ain't got no home. That's why it's straight. Ain't got no home. She ain't got nowhere to be. You know what I'm saying? Some of y'all done did some wild stuff. Nisha used to be a aggressive woman. Then you like to fight? Then you. That's what your mouth say. But you look like you walking around the neighborhood looking to fight. You look like you were one of them turns. Now, wait for that coochie hole to try me. I know you did. Nigga, you were looking for trouble. Right up. Hey, you talking about bother me, but you like this here. You bring it. Yeah, you look like this and these like this. You won't mess with her. She fight. Monte, she used to fight like that? She didn't fight like that? You look like you was aggressive child. Callie, you jump people at range, Callie? That's what your husband say. Right. Well, Nisha said, right. Do that jump on her face. You jump people by yourself? You's a bad. That's what your husband said. He said you told him the story. I don't know, Callie. You look like you like to sit. You better leave her alone. She's skinny, but she hit hard. That's what they say. I know it's lagging, y'all. I'm trying to pause when they pop up. Mercy, we faint not. What we just read last night in Isaiah 28. I ain't even finished all of Isaiah 28 now that I think about it. Because he disannulled your covenant with what? Death. But then he tell you how he tell you that he be for your rest and be strength for the weary. He said, but we have renounced the hidden things of dishonesty, not walking in. See, that's the thing. If our good tidings, if our good news is hid, it's hid to those who ain't supposed to have it. Let's, hey, quiet. You don't need to talk to eat an apple. You over there talking. You over there talking. You should. Dang, I lost it. I ain't gonna pull that out. Wi-Fi tripping on my phone. I appreciate it. When you look at law, the word is a pullum. It is destroy, to put out of the way entirely, to abolish, to put to end, to render useless, to kill, to declare someone to be put to death, someone to go to hell. So it says that, and if they are lost, it literally says, if the gospel is hid to them that are dead to be slaughtered. That changed the whole fact right there, right? He said, if the gospel is hid to those who are marked for death. Ain't that what we read in Proverbs chapter 1? If you can't verse a Yahoo shop, boy, you're going to hell, boy. And you can take it how you want to take it. I ain't telling you to go on, you going to hell because I want to call Elohim, Abba, and Shamahin to his face. He a liar. You ought to go. Well, you don't see it right there, boy. That's a gross violation. Like Big Jet like to say, that's a hit right there, boy. You use an error. Can you imagine how many people got the heart to really believe like, well, you go look Abba in the face and say, hey, you blind. Yahusha ain't your son. Because that's what you say when you say the death, burial, and resurrection is not enough. See, we think it's just some theology or some doctrine, when really, well, that's Abba and Shamahin saying, hey, man, my boy coming through. When he come through, he coming through doing this, that, and the third. So when you see him do this, that, and the third, no, that's my son, and roll with it. And you telling him to his face, he a liar. Down detailed instructions for you to get down with him. Miles. You ain't got nothing to talk about. You ain't got no business. Your life consists of playing and doodling and eating. You ought to pay attention.
Yeah, okay.
One point at him.
You jack.
I'm just here so I don't get fined. Chapter 4, right? But if our gospel be stinking more, if our gospel be hid, it is hid to them that are killed, to whom the Elohim of this world have blinded the minds of them which believe not, lest the light of the esteemed Basar of Mashiach, who is the image of Elohim, should shine for Yahushua's sake. Elohim commanded the light to shine out of darkness, have shined in our hearts to give light of the face of Yahushua HaMashiach. Didn't we read that last night? That word for knowledge was God, the knowledge of Elohim. Whom shall he teach knowledge? But look at what it said, right? He said the God of this world done blinded them. But also the fact he said they preach Yahushua HaMashiach. How else you gonna preach them without going through the text and showing the whole book is about it? You can't do that without that task. But again, to keep that this Malachim is coming to bring him. You understand? That's how Satan works. Satan wants to keep you in darkness. Satan wants to keep you blind. Satan wants to keep you in fear. Satan wants to keep you in doubt. All of these things are the opposite. Go to the throne and lie on you. You've seen that with Job. If you take all this stuff, he'll curse you to your face. See, let me tell you something, man. Keep you honest with you, man. I mentioned it before. I mentioned it again. Anytime you have any level of doubt, trepidation, or regret in your mind, Satan will come to seek to exacerbate that and exploit those. Because as long as you are dwelling with regret, fear, and doubt, you can never serve Yahuwah in totality. Now, why do you think that that's the case? When you look at regret, that means you're living in the past. You know what I'm saying? And if you're living with regret, then 9 times out of 10, you're living with something that you did that might have not been pleasing to Elohim. That he'll bring to pass what he said he's going to do. So therefore, what ends up happening when we are in one of those 3 states, we end up rejecting the things that be of Elohim and end up without him in totality. And you can see that all throughout the text, mainly with the fear and the doubt. Mainly with the fear and the doubt. Just remember this here, right? Who knows? What's the difference between godly sorrow and worldly sorrow? Monica, do you know what godly sorrow does? No. Yes. Come over here to 2 Corinthians chapter 7. Come here, little girl. Come here, little girl. Well, not you, but you come here. 2 Corinthians 7 and 8. But though I made you sorry with a letter, I do not repent. Though I did repent, for I perceive that the same epistle hath made you sorry, though it were for a season. Now I rejoice, not that I made you sorry, but that you sorrowed after a God ended up. But the sorrow of the world worked death. See, the sorrow of the world will cause your heart to be blinded from the gospel. Now, why do y'all think the sorrow of the world works death? It can, but the sorrow of the world also exists in those. That was regret. He regretted his decision. You know what I'm saying? And that's why he lived in that. So he didn't regret the decision until he seen that he lost the benefit from the decision. Then he regretted it. And his brother got the blessing. See, that's what made him regret. See, if there would have been no blessing given, he would have cared. But when he seen his brother got what he perceived was the difference of the regret that you regret because you feel like you missed something, because you coveted this and you envious. Everybody on this earth has regrets. You know what I'm talking about? Because if you don't manage them properly, they will consume you. They will consume you and swallow you whole. Now, doubt and fear, see, that's a whole nother conversation. That's multi-layered. Regret is pretty simple. Ain't a lot of layers to regret. It can be its roots to the regret. Because if you get to the roots of the regret, then fear might come up, doubt might come up. You know what I'm saying? To the root of it. But see, then you have to look at this here, right? Once you get to the root of what causes those things, then you have to sit back and look at this here. If you're in Elohim, you're a new creature. So you can't yourself at a thought process you had before you became a new creature. You operated the fire that was in your mind as some manner of fire. Knowing you an Israelite is not going to stop you from operating in fire. Knowing some love, confidence, and trust in Elohim is what causes folly to cease and desist. And where that is not present, you will commit folly. It's not an if, it's a when. Now, if you have Mashiach and you commit folly, then that comes in, you allow whatever. That's a different thing, unless you just outright rebellious. Because a lot of people get consumed by desire. You get consumed by desire because you haven't mortified your members. So and I told you that a lot of stuff, you gotta have uncomfortable conversations. And we don't like to have uncomfortable conversations because uncomfortable that might have to face the things in yourself that you don't want to look at themselves. So if they talk about it to somebody else, guess what happens? Now I gotta face what I got going on. Now look at that there. All these people in this room, y'all are the minority. Everybody else come from a broken home. If you come from a broken home, that is going to have an effect on your mental state. And it's usually not going to be a positive. And we will reject the fact that other child and their mom and daddy together, it might click in their mind, why my mom and daddy ain't together? Why my daddy don't live with me? You know what I'm talking about? Well, you look at it because it's funny, because it's active, but in reality, boys, 1,000,001 little boys that done did just what he did. Why he don't want me? You know what I'm saying? Then you got to revert, because they're gonna put it on no daddy. Now you got a little kid, they sitting there wondering, I'm always at grandma's house. Always at grandma's house. Mama out here tooting and booting. She in the club. She got. She might have had enough respect to not parade different niggas to the house while you was there, but nevertheless, you wondering why I'm always at grandma's house. Some people got raised by their grandparents. Some people grandparents, the divorces be ugly. That's gonna happen if your daddy live over here, and you know what I'm talking about. Nigga, you think that y'all gonna have an effect on a little kid mind? I gotta beat my daddy and wouldn't fix it. You don't know what's going on. You can't process that in your mind. Your daddy gonna pick you up from your grandma. Why my daddy ain't in the house? Then you get older and you realize, I see my daddy. Facts. 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 That's fact. That's all facts. And that's the sad part, is that we begin to think that level of dysfunction, because everybody around you is like that, is that's wrong. Or everybody around you live with their mama, their daddy ain't around. You know what I'm talking about? Then you'll notice a lot of black children, when a nigga got both their parents, they be mad at them niggas. Because you wish you had both your parents in your house. Now you mad with your friends. Yeah, man, that's you just lying to yourself saying that it didn't. You know what I'm saying? You're not being honest with yourself. You just would rather not go back to that time period and deal with it. That's all it is. You'd rather not think about it. You know what I'm saying? Because then when you think about it, you end up going back to that hurt little boy or little girl or whatever the case may be. Shoot, if you heard your people in the house arguing all the time, that junk gonna have something to do. That junk gonna do something to your mind. These niggas always arguing. God forbid they called each other out their names. I hate you. You know what I'm saying? Guess what you end up doing when you get older? Get with a man and be combative. You know what I'm saying? Get with a woman and be argumentative. Because that's what you watch. What I told you the other day. You say you watch your mama talk to your stepdaddy any kind of way. That's what you feel like you can do when you get older. That's what you seen. You think that's normal. And then when a nigga do it, you're like, well, what's wrong? My stepdaddy did it. That's how that junk boy. Everybody mind state because everything dysfunctional.
Hey.
So like he mentioned that there, seeing that parents split up, single parent, you go to think that junk normal. Because growing up, I don't think I knew anybody who mama and daddy lived together who I hung with on a regular basis. Straight up. You know what I'm saying? And boy, there was a lot of niggas, boy. And I can't recall nobody whose mama and daddy was married and they lived in the house. You know what I'm saying? I don't know now. How to do is I roll with every day. Some of their mamas had a man who had been there for a long time, but that wasn't their daddy though. You think that's how life's supposed to be? That's why we go to thinking living with pain and regret and trauma is normal because everybody around you does it. That is not normal. That's not normal. And it affects our relationships and it affects the children. Because then you got that in you, you're going to raise them with that. You don't realize you passing off to them what you've been carrying however long you've been alive. Hey, what y'all over there doing? What y'all over there doing? Oh, you want me to have it? Okay. Man, don't get yourself in trouble going in there. You told your mom. You got it. I'm just saying, don't keep going in there. Sit down with it, mother. 6 and 5. Same pot. Put that in. Hey, quiet over there now. Quiet on the set. Rama, where your head covering at? Abby, where yours at? You don't have it? Thank you, Abby. Mm-hmm. I'm mentioning all this for a reason. It's going to lead to something that I wanted to mention Wednesday and did. So Genesis 6 and 5. Imagination of the thoughts of his heart were only evil continually. It repented Yahuwah that he had made man on the earth, and it grieved him at his heart. Drop to verse 11. The earth was also corrupt before Elohim, and the earth was filled with violence. Flesh has come before me, the earth is filled with violence through them, and behold, I will destroy them. Bye. Hey. Sabah. Tau. Bye. Hey. Tabah. Tau, bye, and hey. Right? What air rat meant, Michael? I don't know what none of that means. Why you don't remember? Join to the family. We don't know. You look like one of the white women walk around Manhattan. What about you, Eric? You remember what air rat means? Deidre, tell them what air rat means. You got towel, bot, and hey. How would I say that? Yeah. Would you say what say to those again? He said, Yahusha, join you to the family. Who got something for towel, bot, and hey? Tavon? I can dig it. Anybody else? Huh? What is an ark? It's a safe place, right? It's a vessel. A vessel that allows you to do what? Traverse on the water. Now we can roll with that there, especially with the if you join to the family. You got that water? Don't. You like it wet? I was some of the boys say that's why they like scriptures after dark. So they like it wet.
All right.
Let's roll Genesis chapter 8.
All right.
That caused me to go back and finish Isaiah 28 from last night that I did not finish. Dingleberry Terry.
You ain't do that, cuz. You ain't do it, y'all.
What did you do on the phone?
You ain't do that, cuz. You ain't do that, right?
Why you crying? Because he had a bowel movement. Oh, ain't no more toilet paper?
I'm having no trouble.
No, he's out. You know better.
Hey.
Sit down.
It's all right.
Muffin Man. Genesis 8:1. And Elohim remembered Noah and every living thing and all the cattle that was with him in the ark. Now, Paul, I seen somebody the other day say sea moss was unclean. How many of y'all think that's laughable? That sea moss is unclean. Y'all know what sea is, ain't it? Dude said that's that green stuff. Saving. Dr. Savy said.
Seaweed.
Number some seaweed. I talked to that boy yesterday, man. They said that they didn't have it down there for a month. Big greasy.
Oh my.
They didn't have fences. Listen, right? Because she was looking at the verse where it say, if it's without fence or scales, the fox or every living soul. And you know what? Ain't no living soul in no grass. That was a woman who said that. She said, I found out sea moss was unclean. And I'm like, baby, the reason why I mentioned that because look at what it says. I want you to pause now. Work with me. I just living, alive, cotton yard. You separated to the right hand. Take a look at son. Take a look at son, right? I ain't even gonna say that. In John 17, right, what he said, we read it last night. Which means if you were Mashiach, you would.
Get up.
The hut. Hush all that noise, boy. And root.
Yeah.
Think about that. Not even just that there, right? What happened for him to remember every living thing? He stopped the rain. So the difference in this aspect with Mashiach is he's going to remember every living thing before he actually brings the fire.
Okay.
And he's going to plead with flesh, all flesh, with fire and the sword, the slain of you. Mashiach told you in Matthew 13, earth to the other. What did Paul tell you? That the dead of Mashiach will rise first and they'll all meet him in the air. What did Malachi tell you? The book of remembrance was written before him for everyone that did what? So if you're in Mashiach and Mashiach is in you, then he is going to remember you because you would be dwelling in the ark. See, remember, right? Means comfort.
No. Oh.
Genesis 5 and 28. Genesis 5 and 28. And Lamech lived 182 years old and begat a son, and he called his name Noah, saying, this same shall comfort us concerning our work and toil of our hands, because of the ground which Yahuwah have cursed. And you see Noah means rest. But he said this same is going to comfort us concerning our work and toil, because we just talked about it last night about the ground which was cursed. What is the ground cursed with? You got to go back to it. Hold on. Let's look at work and toil. Labor, hardship, sorrow, and created to give you comfort in your pain. Well, we already know the word for work. It's a word we're familiar with. It is metzah, and that's your deeds. Well, why do you have pain in your deeds? As I mentioned beforehand, the fear, the regret, and the doubt. See, that's the work and toil of your hands, because the ground is cursed. Because you are not the son of Elohim, because of the disobedience of one, you have pain, regret, doubt in your soul and in your heart. And Noah was manifested to give you everybody in the ark, every living thing. Look over this and read this Genesis 8:1 again. Elohim remembered Noah and every living thing and the cattle that was with him in the ark. And Elohim made a wind to pass over the 8. So the waters went back. What's one of what's the meanings of water? Because what is Noah coming to do to give you rest and comfort? See, now pause. Now let's let our minds travel back. Egypt and water. Very simple thing to put together. What happened? They walked over that Red Sea. Now, why were they walking over that Red Sea? They were leaving from they had been delivered by the strong hand and stretched rest. So come over here. Let's look at 2 Peter. Matter of fact, it's 1 Peter. I think oh no, I don't mention the red. I don't mention the red. No, not that one either. That's dealing with the water coming from the rock. Nevertheless, we know that what? Them going through the Red Sea was symbolic of what? Baptism. That water supposed to be doing, he was causing the water to go back. Look at what he did, right? He caused the waters to stand up as a what? A wall. And then when they walked through the wall, the waters did what? Abated or assuaged or went back. Because those waters have went over the chaos or the sin. Leave that over there, because you're supposed to be what? A new creature. See, before you walked through that water, were you a people? No. When you came through that water, you became what? A people. All things were supposed to be new. Wait. But see, that's what occurred, because a greater crossing had to come. Son of Newton, did they cross through a sea? They crossed through the Jordan River in the same fashion that they crossed through the Red Sea, did they not? So you could guess what? So you were seeing how Yahushua was coming to do what? Baptize you a second time. Just like you see Yahushua, son of Nun, do what? Circumcise a second time. Matter of fact, let's just get that. Is it?
Hey, you too. Stop.
Hey, Muffin Man. He passed over Jordan, that means I am too far. Matter of fact, make it verse 4. About 2,000 cubits by measure. Come not near unto it, that you may know the way by which you must go. For you have not passed this way heretofore. See, when it comes to the son of Elohim, you ain't never came this way before. Among you. Yahushua spake unto the priests, take up the ark of the covenant and pass before the people. And they took the ark of the covenant and went before the people. Yahuwah said unto Yahushua, this day will I begin to magnify you. Elohim was with Moses, but this fellow, we don't know where he come from. Didn't Yahushua do wonders? What wonders did he did? That shoot Moses. This Yahushua chapter 4. Oh, this is the one. And you shall command the priests that bear the ark of the covenant, saying, when you will come to the brook of the water of Jordan, you shall stand still in Jordan. Yahushua said unto the sons of Yasharal, come hither and hear the words of Yahuwah your Elohim. Yahushua said, hereby you shall know that the living Elohim is among you, and that he without fail drive out from before you the Kenites, the Hittites, the Hivites, the Perizzites, the Girgashites, the Amorites, and the Jebusites. Behold, the ark of the covenant, the Lord of all the earth, shall rest in the waters of Jordan, that the waters of Jordan should be cut off from the waters that come down from above, and they shall stand at the feet. And it came to pass when the people removed from their tents to pass over Jordan, the priests bear the ark of the covenant before the people. Oh, and if it is, it can't be none but first fruits or ingathering. Water overflowing. What it told you in Zechariah, in Ezekiel 47, that the water will overflow, did it not? The waters which came down from above, hold on, stood and rose up upon a heap very far from the city of Adam. Now he says waters from above. Oh, he ran it down Ruach for you early. This is besides Zadaran, those that came down from the sea of the plain, even the salt sea. Not the people that failed. Remember, he got put out. That is a city in the Jordan Valley near Canaan. So the city that Adam was near the land. City Adam is near the land. You got Baal here, you got Tamar. The people who are finished are at an end to be consumed. And the priests that bear the ark of the covenant of Yahuwah stood firm on dry ground in the midst of Jordan. And all the Israelites passed over on dry ground until all the people were clean passed over Jordan. Hey, sit down. I think let's look at Hebrew photo. Four and 6. Hebrews 4 and 6. Seeing therefore it remained that some must enter therein, and they to whom it was first preached enter not in because of unbelief. Again, he limited a certain day, saying in David, today after so long a time as it is said, today if you will hear his voice, harden not your heart. That instance in Joshua, what you just seen, them crossing the Red Sea in the ark. Each one of them, right, when they were crossing the Jordan River, it was for them to what? To come into Canaan and conquer it. Or to come get the rest that he had promised them from Abraham, Isaac, and so you have to realize the crossing the Red Sea was to wash away the chaos. You have to be washed of the chaos to get there. That's why you have two. Noah's flood, being delivered and receiving the Ruach. But they're all dealing with the same thing. That old things must pass away. One thing that we cannot do is places, things that you did, anything that doesn't have anything to do with being a new creature has to stay in water, i.e. the grave. It's got to stay in the grave. That's where it belongs. That's why he say, what pleasure have you in those things where you are now ashamed? Now, please add with that too. Because shame plays a strong role with the regret. Shame can be very debilitating to the mind of anyone. And and that can mess with you. See, I'm gonna be honest with you. A person who deals with shame is usually someone who knows that. Like I tell you, like when I was on the road and my man, I'm talking to this dude, boy, you ain't supposed to be here. You know what I'm talking about? He's like, boy, you ain't supposed to be here. He's supposed to be here. You know what I'm saying? Because that's what I was hearing from him. I'm supposed to be here. You're not supposed to be here. You know what I'm saying? But he lied because the nigga knew better. Of course, especially dealing with kicking with niggas who they relish the life of being a drug. Who wants to sit back and look at your mother or your dad? What can affect your people if you go to jail or get killed? Because you see all them black women on News for Jacks, on First Coast News, doing all that weeping and crying like they son was going to college. That nigga was out here in these streets and he got his brains knocked out. And now you sitting here sad because you know you was really the mother of a robber, a drug dealer, and a miscreant and a fake. And that junk trouble they sold. That's why they be hurting so bad. It's been 10, 15 years that nigga been, you know what I'm saying? That junk ain't cool, man. Well, you got what that dude, that Chicago rapper got killed. I'm sitting here listening to this nigga mama be interviewed. No. The other dude. Yeah, you knew what he was out here doing. Now you shot the nigga, kill him in front of the Louis Vuitton store. What was your thought was gonna happen? You can't make a song about dead niggas. That you have made out of, we don't think about stuff like that as a people. And we want to sit back and look at did he have to do my son like, so that means he done left the mama just like you left. We hypocritical in that regard. He said, today after soul, as it is said, today if you will hear his voice on and not your heart. For if Yahushua had given them rest, then we have not afterwards have spoken of another day. For he that has entered into his rest has also ceased from his own works, as Elohim did from his. And that was the key component that's supposed to have been seen, washing clean. Back to Genesis chapter 8. Yes, Mr. In Genesis chapter 8 and verse 2. Continually, after the end of 150 days, the waters abated. So that lets you know if it was after 150 days, it was 5 months. That means the waters, when the rain stopped, it stopped in the second month. And the waters decreased continually until the 10th month, and in the 10th day of the first month was the top of the mountain seen. Rosh, Tet. Literally means curse reverse or precipitation of curse. Aleph, Rosh.
Hey, I like that. I like that.
You got something over there? What about your partner over there?
You still use that. After the high.
Sheila.
That's worse.
Yeah, give you some strength, and you take that tent, you take that generosity, you can turn it into grace, and you know Rosh, that's chief, and you got Rosh again, and that's highest, and you can see the strength of the grace of the son of Elohim. And what? Kadash, because where the Ruach of the Lord is, there is freedom, and he quicken whom he will, for it's the Ruach that quickeneth, the flesh profiteth nothing. The words that I speak unto you, they are Ruach and they are life. For whosoever has the Ruach of Elohim will never taste death. Upon the Mount Ararat, or messed it upon the mountains. The mountains is hard, right? In Rosh, go ahead and behold the highest, because when you look upon the mount, you behold his authority. And he has the authority to reverse the curse. The curse don't come causeless, it didn't come without cause. The curse didn't come during the time of Noah for no reason. Yahushua to take on a curse you talking about. I don't give a damn about none of that stuff these niggas out here talking about. You can build all the communities you want, you can plant all the gardens you want, and you gonna bust hell wide open, and I will abhor you. And when I see you, I will, because you hate it. You're telling me a liar. And what does that all go back to? That's why I told y'all, because some of y'all, that's why I told you, boy, if you ain't hear no gospel, and it's coming from talking with Sean. Because Sean asked me this. Because he asked me, should I get baptized again? And based off the information that he gave, I said, if I was you, I probably would. And only for one reason. Because he said, boy, I ain't know no gospel when I did it. I just was out there. That's why. The gospel then, he's like, no. That's all. Because anytime you see to text somebody, I say, basically, you would have just did the shot. That's it. You know what I'm saying? Leave that book alone, or I book your butt. You want me to book your butt? What? I didn't think so. How about you? No. You don't want to lay down your life and become new. If it's not present, then basically it's something of, this is something that, it's no different if you went to church and did it. Like you just doing something because this is what you do. You know what I'm saying? Versus understanding that you're trying to get a good conscience towards Elohim, not putting off the filth of the flesh, but that you have a good mind towards him, because you know that you're purging yourself of all things about dead works. That's what you like to run the street, all that type of stuff, into witchcraft, whatever you was into. You left that in that grave and you came about that grave. A spirit don't have flesh and bones as you see me have. That's how you come up out of there. You come out there in an esteemed state, not an esteemed state that can be seen with the natural eyes of man, but an esteemed state in the inward man that exalts itself after the fear, reverence, love of Yahushua. Appreciate y'all. Bless y'all the house of Elohim. Prayerfully you understood all of those things. I appreciate y'all patience. I appreciate y'all patience dealing with that lagging. Bless y'all in the house of Elohim in the name of Yahushua. You who are willing to pick it up on Wednesday and do it again. You who are
Bye bye. Bye bye. Bye bye. Bye bye.